The costume designer in And Ends With Us finally spoke out in relation to Blake Lively's costumes, outfits that she wore in the movie It Ends With Us. So apparently he gave his take on everything in an article with Glamour, and we're going to discuss it today. And you're probably like, why are we discussing this? Because I'm seeing a lot of discourse online in regards to Blake Lively's outfit and all the outfits she wore in It Ends With Us, and I do have a lot of opinions on it as well, and we're gonna get into that. And if you're wondering who I am, my name is MJ, and I talk about the things that I'm about. And yes, I will be getting back to TV and movie reviews and shows. Let me know if you guys like this red lip. I'm kind of like on the fence with it. It's a new Maybelline lipstick. I don't know. Anyways. So definitely just do subscribe. I will be giving my more, movie and TV show reviews and takes like that soon. In fact, I am trying to list all of my favorite TV shows and movies of 2024, and that video will be coming out real soon. But for now, we are getting into Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively's costume designer. So the costume designer did an article with Glamour magazine, and that is the title of the actual article. But this article came out in August 16 of 2024. Okay, just when all of this craziness with It Ends With Us, and you're probably wondering, like, why do I care about the It Ends With Us drama? I am a fan of Blake Lively. I am a fan of Justin Baldoni, and I followed both of their careers, from the inception of the careers, when Justin Baldoni was having a unibrow in Jane the Virgin, and when Blake Lively was kicking a ball in the desert in that movie of hers. So listen, I'm pretty sure that was the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. So listen, I am well versed when it comes to their career. My sister is a big fan of Gossip Girl. I love her in Sister of the Traveling Pants, and my sister loves her in all the movies. My sister and I are both big fans of Jane the Virgin. She actually got me on Jane the Virgin. We loved it. It was how Justin Baldoni rose to fame. So we're gonna go into the article. And this entire drama is incredibly interesting, and it's become super messy, but it has an educational component as well to it. And it allows us, the public, to get involved and also be aware of the behind the scenes of marketing, of PR, of crisis representatives, and what it takes to make a movie, and what all the intricate components of making a movie. It's kind of like a masterclass, which I find this entire drama super interesting. So we're going to get into it. So Sam Reed, she's a reporter in Glamour magazine, Glamour newsletter, and she did a Q&A with the costume designer It Ends With Us. And the title of the article is It Ends With Us, Costume Designer on Blake Lively Style Critiques and Gossip Girl Easter Eggs. And we're finally get to know if the costume designer was bulldozed by Blake Lively, or was he on board? Was this only his ideas and his take on the fashion? So we're gonna get into it, and also my takes on everything as well. So Eric Damon is actually the costume designer, and he was on the costume design team at Gossip Girl. So Eric Damon is meeting once again with Blake Lively, and they're here once again, girl, to come and dress up Blake Lively, and It Ends With Us. And he started his career in Sex in the City. He was an assistant, I believe, a costume design assistant. I think if you look it up in IDMB, you'll see his credits. But he was a costume designer assistant in Sex in the City. So all the outfits in Gossip Girl was gorgeous, was beautiful, was relatable, but also very, very fashionable. And of course, Sex in the City. I mean, we all want to dress up like Carrie Bradshaw. Or we all want to dress up like Charlotte. And so it's very interesting that this is the costume designer that styled Blake Lively that styled Lily Bloom in It Ends With Us. So let's read in. So Eric Damon, who first worked with Lily on the original Gossip Girl, opens up about reuniting with the actor and fighting for their vision of Lily Bloom. So we'll start. As public feud seems to brew between Blake and Lively and her It Ends With Us co-star and director Justin Baldoni, at least one crew member has nothing but praise for Lively, costume designer Eric Damon. Interesting. When we spoke on the phone last week, days before the messy back and forth escalated to such a degree that Baldoni hired a crisis PR team, Damon spoke of his symbiotic relationship with Lively, whom he first met over a decade ago when they worked together on Gossip Girl. So this is what Eric Damon said. It's a real gift to be able to come back and work with Blake and reconnect, he said. It's been literally a decade. It was one of those things where you don't see a good friend for many years, but then when you are with them, it's like no time has passed. It's interesting because like this article wasn't, really viral, and it's not really prevalent in the media, because if it was, people are not going to still have comments about, Lily Bloom's, attire and her outfits and things like that. Because if they did, they would have seen that maybe it's coming from the costume designer. I don't know. We'll see. I haven't read all of the articles, so we're going to go through the article together. So it continues. The prolific costume designer, whose credits include the Sex and the City prequel, the Carrie Diaries. Guys, remember that? The prequel to Sex and the City, Carrie Diaries. I wasn't really into it, but the outfits were gorgeous. As well as the Gossip Girl reboot called Light, and as well as the Gossip Girl reboot. So he was also in Gossip Girl and also the Gossip Girl reboot that aired like in the last few years. So Lively, the ultimate ally in the making of It Ends With Us, the highly anticipated adaptation of Colleen Hoover's best-selling novel of the same name. In the film, Lively stars as florist Lily Bloom, a woman navigating an abusive relationship with handsome neurosurgeon Ryle Kincaid Baldoni. And it's so interesting because even everybody who's describing the movie, they're describing it as a girl who's navigating an abusive relationship with a man. It's not, this like super, juicy, sweet, cute rom-com. I would say it's super juicy, at times even sexy, but I wouldn't even say it's like a rom-com. It's like a girl navigating an abusive relationship and navigating her past and her family that's been super abusive, and trying to conquer that and choosing herself in that in her story, and relying on herself and putting herself first and really escaping all of this abusive stuff. So that's how one would describe the movie, not like a cute little rom-com where you would like grab your florals, grab your best friends and go see the movie. Like I'm just saying, like even like Glamour magazine were describing it as like a movie about abusive relationship with a handsome man. So he continues. Lively, who was also an executive producer, not only brought in pieces from her own closet, which we know, Gigi's jacket, her sparkly boots, to supplement the costumes, but she also fought for her and Damon's vision of Lily. So apparently it was also Damon's vision, which was questioned by Sony after paparazzi photos of Lively on set were met with cruel comments online. And I think it's like really important to talk about this because we need to know the truth in regards to Lily's outfits. And I think a lot of people online are saying that Lily's outfits were all Blake's idea. If it wasn't her idea, then the blame shouldn't just go on her. Okay, so let's continue. So in the article, they talk about so Damon says it might have set off a few alarms for the studio. Damon said, referring to the largely negative discourse, they were concerned. So Damon said they were concerned, they meaning the studio, Sony, but Blake and I both stood by what we were doing as far as the design concept, and Blake could sell anything. You can put a paper bag on her and it just looks fantastic. If she feels good in it, she will sell the shit out of it. And Blake and I both knew that. So it looks like Blake and Damon were both trying to sell this idea to Sony, because the backlash didn't just like, so when the internet backlash started and we all started to see photos, Justin Baldoni was not the only person mad. Sony Studios was mad too, and pushing back against Blake and Eric Damon, and being like, hey guys, I don't like your ideas for these outfits. Could we change it up? And it looks like Eric Damon and Blake stood their ground, which don't know why. But so Damon also hinted at some creative differences on set, specifically when it came to Lily's look for the pivotal rooftop scene. So the infamous overalls. Remember that? There were rather a lot of outside conversations that didn't understand what we were doing there, Damon said, referring to the soon-to-be iconic Carhartt overalls. I don't know. I wouldn't call it iconic. I call it infamous. But that was the right piece, and Blake loved it. Here's the thing with like their choice, their different, their choice, it's the way they styled. I think the way they styled the outfit was good, but the style itself I don't like, because the way Lily Bloom was, the outfits that were put together, it looked like it was for a person who grew up on a farm. He grew up like Ballerina Farm on TikTok. Does anybody know her? Like she makes her bread and her butter and her milk from scratch type of girl. And then she dresses up. Then she wears like the big, huge construction coat and a sparkly dress. I can see a girl like that. But Lily Bloom grew up upper middle class. We saw where she grew up, girl. The house was massive. The house was big. And she was the only child, right? I think she was the only child. So she didn't really grow up on a farm. So she's dressing like she's a construction worker on a daytime. Like she doesn't know how to dress, when it does seem like she knows how to dress. But I know she loves dealing with flowers. I think that's the thing too. I get it. You can still be a florist and still be super, fashionable without showing the fact that you're a florist through your style. Does that make sense? And even that, the Lily Bloom's outfits were, again, not showing as if she's a florist. They were showing as if like she's like a construction worker or a farmer. Like it didn't look like, she's a florist. Like it was very boxy, there's a lot of unnecessary patterns that didn't really mesh together. So we'll continue. So here, Damon opens up about Lily Bloom's mask meets femme style. So that's the style that I'm trying to describe. Mask meets femme. I'm guessing masculine meets feminine style. Facing the critics head on and the Gossip Girl Easter egg some fans may have missed. So let's get into it. It's interesting how like nobody brought up this article, but we're going to get into it. So Glamour asks a series of questions, and we're just going to go into the series of questions that Damon answered in relation to these questions, and we're just going to see, because apparently a lot of the influence did come from Eric himself. So fascinating, honestly. A man like that who dressed, he was at, on the costume design team on Sex and the City, and also Carrie Diaries, and also Gossip Girl, dressed Lily Bloom like this. So Glamour asks the following question. Your relationship with Blake goes all the way back to your days on Gossip Girl. Is that how you came to work on It Ends With Us? Eric answers, originally it was producer Alex Sachs, who is a big fan of Gossip Girl, that was their original pick apparently for the costume designer, who thought it would be a wonderful rematch. So Alex Sachs apparently did not want to dress Lily Bloom and wanted to be a costume designer in this actual movie, so Eric got the job. I think it was her brainchild. And she talked to Justin about it, and I met with him, and then Blake was ecstatic about it. So Justin had to approve, and then Blake loved it because they all worked together before on Gossip Girl. The next question. What were some of the initial conversations about Lily's style? Like, was there a mood board? Eric answers, in the beginning, we definitely wanted to lean into this idea that Lily paints with every color in her paint box. That everything old is new again idea. We wanted to lean into vintage elements similar to what she would be doing in the boutique. decor-wise, and just who she was as Lily Bloom. I get that, but here's the 3 reasons why people didn't like the outfits that were chosen. Number 1, people have their own ideas of how Lily Bloom should actually look like, number 1. Number 2, the outfits did not sit right on, Blake. It didn't fit right to me. It didn't sit right. It didn't look right. And then number 3, the style didn't come together in a way that I'm sure it would have come together on a different person. And then number 4, the 4th reason, the style didn't really match her background. Again, yes, she loves flowers and now she has a flower shop, but she's upper middle class. Her passion became her business, but it doesn't mean you have to show that on the body through her style. But even so, I still would not have styled her in the way that she did, because she does not look like a florist. She looked like a construction worker. So that's what he said. And he continues, Eric, the costume designer, continues, in the book, she's a little bit quiet, a little bit more reserved, but bringing Blake into it and being able to flesh out who this character is through clothing, it was really wide open stylistically and inspirationally for us. Okay, so again, there are some women, yes, there are some people who would, her outfit is very loud, very pick me, see me, choose me type of thing. And if this character is kind of a little bit quiet and a little bit more reserved, why would you choose such an outfit? And again, this is probably one of the few ways she expresses herself, through her style. But there were some outfits I loved. I think even when she was dressed in that sparkly dress and had the construction outfit, the construction jacket, I think that was actually kind of gorgeous. But the 2 pants outfit, I didn't like. It's it's either you hate it or you like it, or you hate it or you loved it. It wasn't, the outfits didn't really melt together. So you knew that she was a character that was literally quiet and a little bit more reserved. Why did you style her that had really loud clothing? I'm guessing that's how maybe Blake wanted it, but he continues. I should read what he wants to say rather than making assumptions before Okay, so he says, we leaned into the vintage vibes, they say. Vintage is in right now, right, guys? So, but didn't want to get into a style that was too girly or femme or floral. Yeah, but there's a lot of ways you could have gone through that. Yeah, well, we'll continue. She's very cute. She wears little anthropology or Reformation dresses. It kind of sounds like you're describing Blake, honestly. And for Lily to be that girl, which I love that girl, she's fantastic. But having conversations with Blake early on, we have a very symbiotic style relationship. Blake and I, we share similar points of view and inspiration, and we had this idea of bringing in the mask with the femme. We had a masculine elements, these workwear elements, like the workwear, so meaning the construction type of things I was talking about, with the Carhartts, so in the men's dungarees and the overalls. They were all vintage and all had a beautiful style to them. We brought them in to give her this kind of mask protective outer layer and shell. I think that added to this character, considering what she goes through as an abused woman in this relationship. I don't know how to even respond to that. Let me read that again. We brought them in to give, so we gave them these masculine elements. We brought them in to give her this kind of mask protective outer layer and shell. I think that added to this character, considering what she goes through as an abused woman in this relationship. So we're putting on mask elements to, she's using it as a form of, as a form of protection layer, as a form of protection. Okay. It also wouldn't have been very easy to fall into. Let's make her this quiet, reserved girl. Again, there are ways to make a style still look good. Like, I get what they're trying to get at. They trying to instill her character and her personality through her style, but it did not look good on Blake Lively for the most part, right? There are ways to have done it where I think it would have looked nicer, in my opinion. So we'll continue. And I think actually the way Blake played it is that Lily is so self-possessed and sure of herself and confident, whereas these outfits are kind of thrown together, mask femme, a little bit. So that's another reason why this still didn't make sense. Like, yes, Lily is quite confident and sure of herself, but also very naive. Very naive. So the outfit didn't really make sense with the personality and character. A little bit naughty's Riot Girl inspired. It has this hard edge. You wouldn't expect this type of woman if you would to fall into an abusive relationship. Again, I wouldn't consider Lily as a person who is like super confident. I would see her as like a woman who's like a lot, like a bit more naive. Like, I feel she didn't really experience much of life. She's been quite sheltered, in my opinion. And when she meets a beautiful, strong man who is telling her that you're beautiful and is strong and falls for that quite quickly, like quicksand, that seems like her to me. That seems like the things that Lily would do. She's gonna go for that type of guy who does that for her, because she doesn't really get that herself. So I think she's a very insecure, naive woman. I wouldn't call her super confident. So he continues, and I think it was important to show that this could happen to anyone, which it does, and unfortunately. And I think there was an important element in the clothing, and of course that Blake brought to the character that lends to itself. Okay. So another question. So Glamour goes, I thought I caught young Atlas wearing a Carhartt jacket in the early part of the flashbacks. Eric goes, yeah, that's correct. And Glamour goes, so that was the same jacket that Blake ended up wearing later on when she was with Ryle. Eric goes, it was adjacent, a very similar vibe, and that was definitely a connection to the past, building in all those flashbacks. It was really important to feel like she still had this emotional connection to her past. This is what I love about design, to be able to connect emotions through clothing. You notice something like that, a lot of viewers won't, but it'll still register in the back of your mind. Okay, there's this connection there. I don't know why I'm feeling that. Clothing has that power. So yes, there are elements of current day Lily sort of pulling through who she was as young Lily. And also there's still a part of Atlas that she's carrying with her. Okay, that was cool. Next question. Jumping back to the inspiration a little bit, you mentioned Riot Girl. Are there any other specific references? It wasn't as specific. It was just kind of this imagery. The only specific thing that was, was that we wanted to keep it in this very rich, deep, desaturated autumnal palette, which really helped pull it all together. And obviously we were mixing a lot of patterns, which didn't really mix well properly in my personal opinion. Blake kept saying, let's have a chaotic element. Why? And it was important to feel really self-possessed and confident in the choices that we were making. There were bold choices, and I think there were a lot of polarized commentary early on about the clothing, and that has since changed, which is awesome. But it was oh my god, AMALGM, amalgam. Oh my god, that word I always somehow can pronounce it, of all the different eras. So amalgam of all of the different eras. There was a little 70s and there was little 90s. There was some early 2000s on the board, but it wasn't one specific reference. I think Riot Girl came from that sort of thrown together, beat up street look. Lily doesn't sound like, oh my God, Lily does not sound like, okay girl, thrown together. Where we were using menswear with boxers and layers and pieces like that. I would have, okay, I get where he's coming from, but I would have liked more femme than mask. Like, I want the femme to overpower the mask. I think that would have been nice. It was more about the Riot Girl. Eric goes, yeah, it was really the energy, and there were, where we were going with it, and I think not everybody was on board with it in the beginning. Sony. So now we're getting into the backlash. Oh my God, thank God. So Glamour asks, I actually wanted to ask you about the discourse around some of the paparazzi photos that came out last winter. Things look so different in paparazzi photos compared to what they look like on set, where you can see everything all together. What was it like for you and for cast to be able to see the response to Blake's wardrobe in real time? Eric goes, I think it's always a little bit shocking. I got really used to the immediate response when we were working on the Gossip Girl reboot, and I get that reactions will be positive and negative, but to see people going so hard on hating it, younger generations are always like, we shouldn't hate so much, and then they're first ones to point the finger. Excuse me? I'm a millennial. Am I younger generation? I'll be mad for the Gen Zs. No. It doesn't even seem like, I get it. Like, you want Lily to be different, but we live in 2024. Like, her style reflect the year that she's in. Like, can we do that? Like, I get it. Like, it doesn't even seem like a person who would be different anyway. She seems like a person who would, would be different, but not completely different. Like, her experience is not super unique from anybody else's experiences. Her experience is quite common. You know what I mean? So why would that not be reflected through her style of clothing? So I found that, no, it wasn't just young people, it was older people too, millennials, baby boomers. We were like, what is that? So Eric goes, the looks were polarizing. It might have set off a few alarms for the studio, so Sony. They were concerned, but Blake and I stood by what we were doing as far as the design concept. So it was Blake and Eric together. And Blake could sell anything. Sure. You can put a paper bag on her and it just looks fantastic. That I agree. Blake is freaking gorgeous. Blake Lively is so pretty, and I do agree, you could put anything on her, it would sell, but these clothes, it did not sell on her. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, it did not look good on her, girl. If she feels good in it, she will sell the shit out of it, and Blake and I both knew that. See, this was one of her best outfits. I loved this. I was obsessed with this. I loved this. This was so cute. So we're coming back together for the first time since Gossip Girl. People were going to be looking at it through a different lens also. I think people were hoping for a bit more Serena, or for her to be like this super femme boho. No, I would say more like this. Like, I love this. I love her in this, like more outfits like this. But this is more femme than mask though. The other outfits I think were more mask. So Eric continues, that would have been like very obvious choice, and there would have been probably been a bit more of a crowd pleaser earlier on, but we were doing something that felt so much more current. That didn't feel current, girl. The two pants did not feel current. So the look feels very fresh and a little bit more like an actual cool girl vibe. From what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing on social, it just seems like people are much more into it than they were. And again, seeing someone walk from the trailer to the set in paparazzi pics, they're half dressed. You don't see how it's lit. Listen, we saw all the pics. The pics that we saw, exactly what we saw on screen. Stop gaslighting us. And it's important for people to remember this is all part of storytelling. and that paparazzi don't always take the friendliest shot. That I agree with. Paparazzi do not take the most friendliest shots, but it doesn't matter. The office, they didn't like it. If you know what I mean, we do know what you mean. I get it. Everyone should keep in mind when they want to tear people down again. Okay. Next question. So you would say that the criticisms of Blake's outfits didn't influence your work? They did not. So this is like, they were like, okay, we're going to do what I'm going to do. I don't care what y'all say. I don't care we're selling a movie. I don't care we're selling tickets. I don't care we're trying to be box office. This is my outfits. Eric goes, I think they could have if Blake didn't feel so strongly and so secure in herself and in how much she loved them. So let me get this straight. If I could summarize this. Okay. Eric came up with the idea. Blake loved it. Sony fought back. Eric and Blake stood together. Eric could have changed the outfit, but Blake loved it so much. So even if Eric could have changed the outfit, Blake is like, nah, we're sticking with the 2 pairs of pants and the mixed match patterns. I don't care what y'all say. So I think Eric would have changed the outfits if Blake wasn't so set in her ways with the outfits, in my opinion. Because Eric goes, she's not going to worry. It's Blake Lively. She's not going to wear something that she's not into. Let's be very honest. And that's why I said in my TikTok, I have a TikTok, by the way, talking about beauty. That's why I said in my TikTok, I really do believe deep down inside that because Blake Lively just had a baby, Blake Lively is not super, this is what I believe, this is what I think. I think Blake Lively was not super comfortable with her body yet, and there were only certain types of outfits she was willing to be dressed in and be comfortable in, especially in this type of role. And even in this role, it requires a lot of, intimate scenes, even sex scenes. So it made you have to be somewhere comfortable with your body to do these type of scenes. So even if Blake Lively wanted to be a bit more femme and be a bit more gossip girly, I don't think she would have, because she just had a baby, and she would not have been wearing a super tight mini dress or a mini skirt or a cute strapless dress because she just had a baby. So I think she was just, even though Eric pitched this idea, I think Blake Lively definitely carried it from, took the baton and carried it to home run, you know what I mean? And then made a lot of tweaks and turns, from there on. And like the whole construction kind of like, workwear was, and they brought together, there was like a word that they used earlier on in the article that reminded me exactly like Blake. So I think this is I think again, Eric pitched this idea, and then the actual reality of these outfits were really, really Blake, in my opinion, based on how I'm seeing it. So Eric goes, we style looks together and we work together in a very cohesive manner. So I think she felt very connected and confident. So they styled everything together. That's what Eric is saying. So Eric said, so I think she felt very connected and confident that this is who Lily is. We both kind of stood our ground in it. Next question. I read that the boots Blake wears in the party scene, which I love the boots. Again, but I was looking at those boots, but I'm like, those boots looks really expensive. How can a girl who just opened a flower shop and spent all her money in a flower shop but don't have money for employees have money to have money for those expensive boots? Like, it looks like how can you have money for a 20 grand boot, but also $100 jacket? Like, it's not making sense, the outfit. Like, anyways, Eric goes, yes, the YSL crystal boots, yes. Blake's amazing like that. I've never worked with another actor that could just be like, I have these amazing YSL crystal boots, and I think it'd be great for the party scene. And then also be like, and we're going to shoot a tracking shot of me walking in with them. She has the full picture. She knows. She's really brilliant in that way. What am I going to do? Say I don't know about those incredible YSL crystal mesh boots? Yeah. That's your job. Your job. That's your job. Because how can a girl who just opened a flower shop have money for a YSL crystal boot? Make it make sense, girl. Girls, make it make sense. Make it make sense. Absolutely not. I'm like gobsmacked, and the fact that we have access to her amazing closet and that she's willing to share, that is fantastic, and gives us very special pieces. It's important for the actor to connect with what they're wearing. I think it helps them. These are tools that help them create these characters. That's really what I'm here for. I want actors to look amazing, but I've got to take my ego out of it and make sure that they feel seen and heard. And I love that Blake wants to bring in her own pieces or something from Ryan's closet. Guys. That she feels connected to, and that helps her in the scene to create this character. I think it's awesome. Next question. Was there something of Ryan's that she had? Eric goes, there was at least one. She definitely wore a plaid vest of his in one of Lily Bloom montages in the store. She also connected us with Gigi Hadid. They're like besties, which is awesome. We're sitting in the fitting room and Blake's on the phone with Gigi, so casual. And we were able to borrow a bunch of beautiful pieces from Gigi's line. Again, why are you borrowing pieces from Gigi's line when Justin Baldoni and his costume designer team already picked out pieces for you to wear? Why do you need to call your celebrity friend to find pieces that honestly could be $10? Why does a Lily Bloom, who just opened a flower shop, started a whole business that usually fails, has money for designer clothes? Make it make sense. Next question. So it seems like there are a lot of perks to having Blake on as your principal. Eric goes, I mean, yes, for sure. She's delightful to be around and just great. The perks plus the personality is just really special. Next question. Is there any pieces from the film that was memorable either because it was difficult to source or because it was kind of pivotal piece of clothing? Eric goes, for me, there are two pieces like that. One that is for Blake and then one that is for Jenny Slate's. Okay, so they're talking about like the Cartwright jumpsuit. This people have a lot of opinions on that. At this point, I don't even care. But listen, Blake looks cute in a lot of things. But as Lily Bloom in this character, weird. Oh, excuse me. Let's see here. And Blake and I were going back and forth about the overalls. Is it just a hoodie? Was it a like? And then the SAG-AFTRA strike happened, so we shut down, and then we came back. We were going to shoot that scene in the winter time, so you can't just be in a slinky tank top. There has got to be another element to it. So instead of a slinky tank top, she wore the overalls. I'm from Michigan, and my dad used to work out in the field. I'm from Michigan, and my dad used to work out in the field in these insulated Carhartt overalls in the winter. And I was like, that would be awesome if I could have again. What is Lily? Okay, actually, no. I mean, but they're cuter overalls, I feel like. Those overalls look not the greatest. Like, she looks like a construction worker. As a person who kind of sources and cuts flowers, I get why you would wear overalls, but maybe something that looks cuter. Because Lily Bloom's not your father. I'm sorry. I don't know. I get where he's coming from. Like, I get it. So he went to Etsy and he went to eBay to go and find it. And he came across his beautiful, almost French blue, late 70s, maybe early 80s Carhartt overall that was just perfectly worn and stained and had a gorgeous patina and story to it that was also the right size. The piece just kind of appeared. It was like the needle in the haystack. Oh, Lord. So he brought it to Blake, brought the overalls to Blake, and Blake goes, "Oh my God, it's like the ultimate hot girl. I love it." Oh, Blake is so cute. She thinks that's a hot girl. Oh, Blake. Gotta love the girl. So they go on. And they say there were rather a lot of outside conversations that didn't understand what we were doing there. But that was the right piece and Blake loved it and she sold it. I think that's kind of an iconic moment because it also sets up this game. Ryle has never seen a woman like this in his life. No one has ever seen a woman just like that in their lives. A woman that's not just going to fall for him and end up in bed with him that same night, but also a woman sitting on the edge of his rooftop in Carhartt overalls. That's pure fire, sitting there in red hot Carhartt overalls. Okay. I don't know what to say to this. And then it goes into Jenny's look. We don't care about Jenny's look. I think Jenny's look was actually like really nice. I think Jenny's style matched her personality, character, and also her social status. Like she was a rich girl and her style absolutely matched that. And it looked incredible. It looked very good. But you know, I like Lily Bloom's style did match her social status like 40% of the time. 60% of the time, I'm like, what is that? What is that? And again, YSL boots, girl. YSL boots with a construction jacket. At least make it like a Zara. Those brown jackets, make it like Zara jackets. Like, I don't get it. Y'all, so in conclusion, the costume designer and Blake, it looks like they created this style and the costumes together, the clothing, the outfits together. It wasn't just Blake. I think Eric pitched this idea to Blake and Blake loved it and then ran with it and then created and then used this idea and then Blake infused her sense of style a bit and in conjunction with what she needs to wear to make her feel good in her own body as a mom, as a new mom, not a new mom, but because she has 4 kids. So this is her 4th kid. So as a woman who just gave birth, she felt comfortable in these style, and I don't think she would have changed the style, even though of course the backlash because she's so attached to it. I think she's attached to it for several reasons because I think this is her style partly, and then number 2 because she's comfortable at it and she's comfortable in her body in these type of clothings. And I don't think she'll be out there a few months after having a baby wearing the outfits that she'd be wearing in Gossip Girl, right? Those were scandalous, beautiful outfits. I was just gonna say, my sister's rewatching Gossip Girl for like the billionth time, and she's loving it. That's all she does, other than like go to school and work and all that. But let me know, like that was really interesting. So if people are out there and be like, oh my god, that's Blake's style and that Blake didn't know, it came from the costume designer Eric Damon. Definitely forward this to somebody who did not know anything about the costumes, the outfits, all of that. Let me know what y'all think about all of this. I think there was a lot of room for improvement in my opinion. I would not think, I mean, it definitely is giving Sex and the City vibes for sure. I can totally see Sex and the City vibes through it, but it's definitely giving, like the outfits are giving Pick Me, but again, Lily is a very quiet, conservative person going through, abuse. And I get that they want to express her style, but they were doing too much. They were doing too much. Let me know what y'all think. I didn't hate all the outfits, like I said. I think some of them were like really, really cute. And then some of the outfits were like, what is that? That shade of yellow should not be seen in public ever again. Like, that's atrocious. Let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to follow, comment, like, hype. I think you can send me money now. Like, I don't know what's happening. You can do all of that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will be posting TV and movie show content after this. Hopefully you guys are hyped for the top movies and TV shows of 2024. I can't wait for that. Stay woke and stay healthy and stay safe. Bye.